All right, everybody. How are you doing? I apologize. I'm kind of casual today, not because of any other reason than it was chilly this morning. So, it's that time of the year. I can't. I'm hot. I'm cold. I'm hot. I'm cold. But anyway, hope everyone is doing well. It's Thursday, getting towards the end of the week here, and here's what I thought we'd do today. We're doing this weekly election series. I'm going to share my screen. I hope it works. And let me see what just happened to my PowerPoint that I had up. Let's see if I can get that going for everybody. But and we're going to walk through today the impact of the vice presidential candidates on this election cycle. As it's coming up, we are just about 60 days away. It's really we're coming in down to the wire, and as far as these candidates are concerned, every little bit helps. Every little bit helps. So let's look at the swing states in particular, because that is where these decisions are eventually made. If you look, roughly 40, of the 50 states tend to go in the same direction each presidential election cycle. Yes, there's always the anomalies, but there's a few key swing states that drive the electoral college and decide who wins in these elections. And those, and I'm going to look at those states in the current polling. So, if we look, as of today, the most recent polling, it's tight in these swing states. So Arizona, slight edge for Trump, kind of surprising to be honest with you. Georgia, again, slight edge for Trump, a little surprising. I'm going to get into why. Michigan, Harris has a slight lead there. Nevada, Harris is up in Nevada, and we'll get into the reasons why. North Carolina, Trump is up, but I got to tell you, the folks on the ground in North Carolina for Harris are a little giddy. There's a lot of upheaval going on in that state from the governor's standpoint that could turn the tide a little bit in Harris's favor. It's a wacky one going on down there. Pennsylvania, virtually tied at this point. Harris might be regretting not having picked Josh Shapiro to help push that state. And Wisconsin, Harris is up. Harris is up a little bit, but both candidates have been spending a lot of time out there trying to swing that state over to their cause. So if we come down to key issues in these different states, are pretty consistent across the board. But here's how it breaks down. Number one issue in all polls remains the economy. Now, that obviously was a strong polling point for Trump all summer. Since Harris has taken over for Biden in the polls, that's tightened up. She's being viewed a little more favorably on the economy than Biden was. Plus, some economic indicators that really impact people on a day-to-day basis are trending positively for Democrats, and be that with the Fed coming in and dropping rates, which will make home ownership more affordable, both existing and new, or the fact that gas prices have been coming down. I think gas is right around 71, 72 bucks a barrel. So that's certainly something that has been a rallying cry, was that high cost of gas, and that's helping Harris right now. I can tell you, in my home state of New Jersey, which historically compared to a lot of parts of the country, believe it or not, has pretty cheap gas, and it has pretty cheap gas because we've got the refineries. Let me see if I've got the right I just got a message that I might not have the right screen up. Let me see here. Let's see. How do I stop sharing? Christian, if you could let me know, do I have the right screen up, or is it not? Are you seeing the screens shift? Sorry, folks. We're doing Wise Pub here, and I'm normally not the driver, so I do apologize about that. Let me see if we're seeing that. Maybe someone could drop me a chat. Okay. I think I'm all around. Let's see. I'm muted here, but I'm trying to get it going here. If someone could let me know if you're seeing my screen or not, because it's working on my end. Let's see. Let's go with. All right, it's showing on my side, so that's a little weird, but it is tech, and I'm not the most techie savvy of guys, believe it or not. I know a lot about tech, but not super tech savvy. All right, I'm sharing again. Let's see if it works this time. I'm told it's better. We'll see where it goes. So anyway. The key issues in the states are, the economy, most critical, immigration, very important to a lot of Americans. But as far as voting goes, it's going to be particularly impactful in Arizona and Nevada. All right. Let me get out of presentation mode. I'm told that is messing things up. All right, we're going to do it like this. Let's see if this works better. I hope everybody can see this screen. Feel bad that presentation mode is not working. So immigration, super important, but it's going to be impactful in a few states. Healthcare, kind of a secondary issue, but polling very strongly in two swing states, Michigan and Wisconsin. And of course, housing affordability is of significant concern, particularly in Arizona and Nevada. So if we look at, people were asking me, I got a lot of comments on how, we just had this debate with the vice presidents the other night, which, by the way, thank God it was civil. I've missed that. It's been a long time since we've had a good civil debate. I thought it ran very smooth. Yes, there were a couple of gaffes, particularly from the Walz camp, but it almost came off kind of endearing. And they actually talked policy. We probably learned more about each group of candidates' policies and we'll call it the policy of the ticket, than we did in the Harris-Trump debate, which, quite frankly, I walked away learning very little, if anything. So we had a lot of good policy discussions. So people asked, what impact does that debate have, and the vice presidential candidates have on the ticket? The overall ticket that's coming up in November. And it's a great question. So I looked at, kind of put my thinking cap on and said, all right, who are the most impactful vice presidents, going back in recent memory? And I did it from Kennedy onward. And certainly, Lyndon Johnson was made, pretty big, for having Kennedy assassinated. No, just kidding. That was a tin hat joke. But, Johnson was certainly, a major player in the civil rights, world, and pushing civil rights legislation, which then set him up for his, when he became president, he really put a mark on that with the civil rights. Walter Mondale, who was the vice president under Carter, really changed the nature of the office, where the VP role before was more ceremonial than anything. He made it a more active role in driving legislation, promoting legislation. Part of that was because Carter was kind of a White House isolationist, in the sense that He was a bit of a control freak, did not rely on a lot of outside influences like other presidents tend to do. And so it gave Mondale the ability to have him, be more impactful on the Hill on legislative issues. He was well known on the Hill, and it kind of opened up and really opened up how vice presidents going forward tended to handle the office. Certainly, George H.W. Bush was, a key influence in foreign policy during the Reagan administration. He brought a incredible wealth of it, being, the head of the CIA, and he was certainly an influential part of the Reagan White House. He also, again, was viewed very favorably on Capitol Hill. Everybody knew him. He was very well liked, particularly in that Southern Democrat circle, where he was able to bring together a lot of consensus with the Southern Democrats and the Republican Party and what the Reagan administration was trying to push. So he was extremely influential on the Hill. Al Gore, certainly, under the Clinton administration, was a champion of climate policy, and really looking at how government can influence climate change, climate policy, green energy, and really laid a lot of the groundwork for what the Biden administration is trying to do today. And then certainly, probably, I think one of the most influential vice presidents in history was Dick Cheney. Certainly the architect of a lot that happened post 9/11, both domestically from a national security standpoint and across the globe. And I'm not going to sit here and debate whether that was good influence or bad influence. That's a much broader discussion that we can have. But he was incredibly influential in the office, and really, was a big influence over, Bush on how he crafted his view of foreign policy. So, short answer is the vice president can have impact. So, what about the two that are currently under consideration? I think it's a bit of a mixed bag. Now, I'll tell you, J.D. Vance really elevated his standing during that debate. I think he came in with a bit of a tarnished reputation. People looked at him as Trump light, if you will, and he had made some statements in the past that put a very tarnished view of him. But he was smooth, really held his composure, even when some touchy issues came up with the moderators. He addressed it. Certainly did not back down, but he did it in a very calm and collected way that resonated extremely differently from his boss to be potentially. So, I think that gave all around helped the ticket for Trump, because it gave a polished, softer appearance for the Trump-Vance ticket. Walz, probably not the best showing. He kind of came off as that lovable uncle a little bit, who says some things at the dinner table that you wish he hadn't. But did he help the Harris campaign during that debate? No. Did he necessarily hurt it? I don't think so. And certainly, if you look at the polls, shockingly, if you balance out the polls, it's almost 50-50 between the two candidates, which I find, I certainly wasn't expecting a 50-50 view for those candidates. But I'm not sure why that just happened. But anyway, we are going to dig in a little bit more, because what you have is you do have some very subtle impact. Vance brings a Midwestern appeal that Trump does not, and he's going to help Trump in Ohio, southern states of Georgia, where national security issues, immigration issues are very on the tops of people's minds. He's going to hurt Trump, Arizona, Nevada, again, where the flip side of the immigration issue is a big impact. Walz, he's appealing like Harris to that younger voting demographic. I don't know, again, that it helps the Harris campaign, but it certainly doesn't hurt. And he's very strong with independents, and he's bringing a lot of that that immigrant community in the Midwest, particularly in Minneapolis area, people who, because of the Mideast conflict, might have backed away a little bit. Walz, I think, can galvanize them to continue to get behind Harris. But again, neither candidate's making a significant enough impact that is going to flip any overall decisions or even any swing states. But let's dig into it a little more. So here's the anticipated impact, and this is Frank Gregory of J.D. Vance. His policies are expected to focus on, like Trump, trade protectionism and boosting American manufacturing. So they want to bring jobs home, penalize China and some other big import players. He wants to focus on antitrust actions against big tech, not big tech globally, but really the social media companies, where Republicans for a while now have felt like they've been getting the short end of the stick from social media companies, being treated very unfairly on social media, biased reporting, if you will. So you might see a push to do that. Again, he's a Harvard lawyer. He brings a smooth approach, and will certainly be influential in crafting policy that could have an antitrust implication. And certainly he's made it very clear he's going to take a hardline stance on illegal immigration, not immigration as a whole, but illegal immigration, and that will have some ramifications. A lot of the impact that both of these gentlemen will have will be regional in nature. Vance is, he's got that strong appeal in Ohio. Ohio was always considered a swing state. If you notice, it wasn't on my list. Trump is leading there as of the last poll I read by a little over 5%. So I think having Vance on that ticket has helped a lot for the Ohio appeal, that Midwestern appeal, that working man and woman appeal that Trump desperately needs. And if he can hold in Ohio, that will help him tremendously, particularly when he's probably going to lose some of the more Midwestern swing states. So Ohio, he puts Pennsylvania up for grabs for the same reason, Michigan as well. And he's got that working class appeal that Trump does not. Trump can talk all he wants, but he's not a working class kind of guy. J.D. Vance is. He's got the book, he's got the story, and he comes across as appealing to the common person. With that said, he has made some past controversial remarks. Again, he redeemed himself a little bit during the debate, but he has alienated a lot of the immigrant population, and that's going to hurt in swing states such as Nevada and Arizona. So I'd say overall mixed bag for J.D. Vance. I would say, if we look at what happened in 2020, if he can help with Ohio, Georgia, PA, and Michigan, that's going to nullify any potential negative impact in Arizona and Nevada. So overall, I would give J.D. Vance a plus for the influence on the Trump campaign. Let's look at Tim Walz. Again, he put more policy positions forth than Harris has to date, but he will toe the line a bit. He's big. His two big issues are healthcare and education. He's going to push hard for that, which in the end will mean governmental expansion. He wants to expand the Affordable Care Act, and he wants to expand, money to public schools. He's also a very strong advocate for veterans, healthcare, and family support programs. So we could see some money, some additional money moving in that direction. But overall, he is in the end a tax and spend kind of guy, and you're going to see an enlargement of government, which falls in line to what it looks like Harris would be doing. So again, is a big impact overall on the Harris policy positions? Probably not, but we'll get in line, and we'll from a education, healthcare standpoint, certainly have an outsized influence. Again, like Vance, he's going to have a regional impact in some of these states. He does, poll very well in Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. Wisconsin, I think, is going to go Democrat, probably will. But again, Michigan, Pennsylvania, with Vance's impact, is going to be close. And if Harris has an advocate there who, it's going to be very important moving into the election season for her to pick up votes in those states because they're crucial swing states, and Walz will help her do that. His appeal is going to be a little more limited in Georgia, North Carolina. Those are the bigger polling concerns there seem to be national security related issues. Oil has remained low in price again, hovering in that low 70s per barrel. So we're going to continue to see how that plays out. With the ongoing wars, our defense spending is going to stay high. We're looking at about an $850 billion defense budget that is moving through. It'll take that money a little time to make its way out, but if I'm a defense contractor, I'm not too upset right now. The other things that we're looking at are some strike activity going on. Boeing, the machinists have been on strike now for a few weeks. Estimates there, it's had about a $1.6 billion impact on Boeing and related economy because of that. So that strike is ongoing. It's got the support of the administration, so I don't see that coming to an end anytime soon until they get what they want. Of course, the big one now that just started is the port strike. That is a slightly different story. That appears to be costing us. I mean, we're talking, 30 to 30. And I put 30%. It's actually close to, if you take, looking at both imports and exports, 35% of the goods that we import and export move through, move through ports. I'm sorry, with about 90% arriving by through the port. So the numbers are staggering when you really think about the impact of a port strike. I think they want, they're arguing for a 70% wage increase. They turned down a 50% wage increase. So those are big numbers that we're arguing about. And this morning I read an article that it's costing the U.S. economy about $5 billion a day, with this port strike going on. So the administration, just like it could do with a pilot strike or a rail strike, the administration could step in, kill the strike, and move on. But they're indicating they're not going to do it. They're going to let it play out. Pete Buttigieg yesterday said that this is an important action by the longshoremen to exercise their collective rights. So how long the administration will allow this to go on, I don't know. At some point, the Harris, you talk about impact of VPs. At some point, Harris is going to go into the Oval Office and tell Joe that, this is starting to hurt her campaign again, because the minute we see prices going up or shelves being a little empty because of goods not moving, you're probably going to see the administration step in at that point and put a little pressure on both sides to come to an agreement. Whether or not they take the full step to kill the strike remains to be seen. But this is going to go on for a bit, and until those numbers start coming out that it's having a monetary impact on voters' pockets, we're probably not going to see much being done there. The other thing we're looking at with capital gains and how we're potentially looking at trades is Biden's got just a couple months left of being in office to execute on his agenda items. And one of the big ones, of course, is everything green energy, trying to make sure that he wants to, he wants to go out being known as, the president who killed fossil fuels, that really ushered in this new green economy into the U.S. And he's going to push hard on that, in these last days of his presidency, to try and make sure that comes to fruition. So, that's where Andrew and I really start, looking at, we're looking at defense contractors very heavily. We're looking at the green energy companies, be it solar, nuclear, of course, big fans of that, particularly SMRs, the small nuclear reactors. And it is, those are the type of themes that we really see playing out. We're keeping an eye on oil. Oil is really perplexing, particularly with volatility up, oil prices still down. It's kind of odd. We're keeping an eye on that. We're probably going to start looking at potential trades around, doing some kind of oil trade, in the near term. So, uh, yeah, and I'm looking at some of these, some of these comments. Will higher oil prices factor in the election? Of course they will. I mean, that is one of the big things on people's budgetary items is how much they're paying at the gas pump, and it's really obvious because you drive around and there's giant signs all over the place that tell you where gas prices sit. So, um, you know, we will continue to watch that. We will continue to monitor that flow of capital from DC to Wall Street, and how not only the flow of capital but legislative impacts and decisions coming out of the White House impact different sectors of the economy and how we can trade those. Uh, it's going to be exciting. This is we've got like I said, about a month to go in this election cycle. You're going to see a lot of rhetoric ramp up, but keep an eye. Don't worry about the broad U.S. polls. I'm more concerned with the swing state polls because that's really what will decide the election in the end. So, watch those swing states. Keep an eye on who's going where. And like I said, you're going to see those vice presidential candidates, I believe, spending a lot of time in those Midwest states to try and drive them. That'll free up Trump and Harris to hit some of their core constituency states, and maybe ones that are right on the razor's edge. I mean, they both have to spend time in Georgia. They got to spend time in Michigan. Trump will probably spend time in Ohio because he's polling well there, and that's what Trump does. But it's going to be a lot of fun, and please join us as well for cap gains. We do a trading piece every Tuesday, and would love for everyone to jump on board and make a little money with us as we trade this movement from DC to Wall Street. So appreciate it, everyone. Hope you have a wonderful week, long weekend. If you're celebrating the Jewish holidays, all the best to you, and I wish everyone well. Take care.